Okay, one minor change to one of the American moves. I just misread my opponent's instructions, so it's my fault. So I had originally put both of the strategic bombers as air transports into Korea. He wanted one in Korea, and he wanted one in Shan State. So there is an American strategic bomber as air transport in Shan State along with 2 infantry, and there's an American strategic bomber as air transport in Korea along with 2 infantry. So minor modification to the American move. Okay, this is UK turn 4. All of the UK purchases are for the UK Pacific side because, of course, UK Atlantic was conquered by the Germans. So they're going to spend 10, 17, 25. They have 28 IPCs to spend. They're going to spend 10 on a fighter, 7 on a transport, 8 on 2 artillery, and 1 on 1 infantry. There are 3 attacks to declare, all of which are walk-ins. So let's have a look at what they're going to do there. So they will be walking 1 infantry from Shan State into Siam and taking that. And they will be walking 4 infantry from Burma and 1 infantry from Shan State into Yunnan, along with the 2 tanks from India, which will be joining that attack. So Yunnan is going to be fairly heavily fortified at that point. The only other attack they're going to be making is they will be walking into Tobruk with the artillery from Alexandria. So once I tidy up the board, we'll come back for non-combat. There's nothing to roll, so we'll just come back for non-combat in a sec. Okay, for non-combat, the artillery in South Africa is going to be loaded onto this transport. The transport is going to come up 1, 2 to C-Zone 76, pick up 1 of the infantry from Ethiopia, and then move to C-Zone 81. The 2 infantry from Persia are going to load up onto this transport, and all of this naval contingent, with the exception of 1 destroyer, is going to move also to C-Zone 81, and all of the transports are going to offload in Egypt. All of the forces in Anglo-Egyptian Sudan, so 1 artillery, 2 mechs, and 1 tank will move north into Egypt. The infantry in Ethiopia will move into Anglo-Egyptian Sudan. All of the fighters at the air base in Transjordan will move to Egypt, and all of the fighters and tactical bombers from Ukraine will come south as well. So they are going to make a last stand in Egypt. Also, they will be claiming northwest Persia, which is pro-Allied, with an infantry from Persia. And there are some non-combat movements in the Pacific as well. First off, there's a dog in the background. The destroyer from C-Zone 80 will come to C-Zone 39. And there will be some movement here as well. 3 infantry from India will be railed 2 spaces to Shan State. 1 anti-aircraft from India will go to Burma, and the anti-aircraft from Burma and Shan State will go north and join the rest of the troops in Yunnan. I think I've covered all the movements, so I'll tidy up the board, and then we'll come back for placement and money. Okay, placement of new units. The new infantry is going into India. The 2 new artillery are going into India. The new fighter is going into India, and the transport is going into C-Zone 39. Okay, income adjustments. Siam now becomes British, so that's +1. And there are 2 territory adjustments, but there aren't any money, isn't any money associated with them. So Northwest Persia does become British, and Tobruk becomes British. So we fix, it's +1 for the UK Pacific on the income tracker. So Sorry, that's really hard to see. They go from 14 to 15, and Japan goes from 41 to 40. So 15 IPCs are what the UK Pacific earns. Now, the UK Pacific only has one bonus, and it's if they hold Kwangtung and Malaya. They do not. They only hold Malaya. The bonuses on the Atlantic side of the board cannot be collected because London is under German control. In terms of disposition of forces, here's what... Oh, sorry, no, we have to make one other change. Sorry. Yunnan is once again Chinese, so sorry, we have to fix that on the income tracking chart. Sorry about that. So Japan goes down from 40 to 39, and China goes up from 10 to 11. Okay, so disposition of British forces. Let's start over here in North Africa, because that's where most of the action is. There is an infantry Anglo-Egyptian Sudan, along with a French infantry to go with that. In C-Zone 81, they have a battleship, 2 cruisers, and 3 transports. And in Cairo, in Egypt proper, there are 3 artillery, 4 infantry, 2 mechanized infantry, 1 tank, 1 anti-aircraft, and then we have 6 fighters and 2 tactical bombers, along with, of course, there is a French unit and a Canadian unit as well in Cairo. Over in Tobruk, there is an artillery, and in Iraq there is an artillery, and in northwest Persia there's an infantry. Moving over into the Pacific, in C-Zone 39 there is a destroyer and a transport. In India there is an anti-aircraft gun, 2 infantry, 2 artillery, and 1 fighter, along with, of course, a bunker. There's a bunker in Egypt as well. In Burma, there is a single anti-aircraft artillery, along with, of course, a visiting Chinese-American volunteer fighter. In Shan State, there are 3 infantry, along with 2 visiting Americans and a visiting American air transport, and a visiting Australian fighter. In Siam, there is an infantry. And then in Yunnan, there are 5 infantry, 2 tanks, and 2 anti-aircraft artillery. So I think that's it for the British. So Italy's going to be up next. They actually have some pieces to move around. They have some ships now, and we'll see what they choose to do with them. So Italy coming up next.